Hello, hi. Welcome, everyone. Hi, I'm Dwana Butler. I'm the program director here at New York Women in Film and Television. And this is our last of a wonderful series this season of our documentary programs. For anyone who's new to NYWIF, or either you have been a member, New York Women in Film and Television, we are a membership organization of 2,400 and counting. We're part of 50 chapters globally, and we focus on career development. We focus on celebration of women in the business. We also preserve women's films, and we advocate for equality in the business. For anyone who's interested in joining as a member, do check out our membership materials. We have a membership drive going on through May 13th, where our initiation fee of $135 is 50% off. So definitely check into that. If you like this program and want to know about more programs and other membership offerings, you know, it's really amazing for community and networking here at NYWIF. Just a little bit about our documentary program. We have a series of 4 programs every single spring, and it's chaired by Marsha Rock, who we are really thankful for, who's the chair of the documentary committee. She also hosts us in this wonderful space here. She's the director of news and documentary here at the Arthur L. Carter School of Journalism. So we're really excited. Our members produce our events, so I want to thank Savannah Washington and Nina Streich. Yes. Can we have a committee of members? They meet in September. If you're interested in joining the documentary committee, they come together with Marsha and they choose 4 topics. So we've been discussing these topics for over a year, so here we are. Very excited to have our wonderful panelists. We have handouts, and we're going to get into it. With that said, I want to introduce Marsha Rock.
It's great to have you all here. It's sort of sad and wonderful that we're at the 4th program. And if you've been coming regularly, there was actually a theme and development to this year's programming. Not intentional, but it just worked out that way. I wanted to mention to members, if you want to get involved in the documentary committee, we have one organizing meeting in September. So be sure to give Dwana your email, and she will give it to me, and we will send out a notice for that meeting. And at that meeting, we pitch ideas and choose the best one and organize producing groups. Okay? And so, also, we have to be out of here at 8 o'clock, but not to worry, we have Phoebe's across the street, kitty corner, where Dwana buys wonderful food and you get discounts on drinks. And hopefully some of our panelists will come along, and you can have a one-on-one with people after the program. Okay, so I'm just excited to introduce you to our moderator, Karen McMullen. Is a Brooklyn-based film festival programmer, editor, and educator.
Who likes salsa?
She's head of programming for the Tide Film Festival, lead curator for New Voices in Black Cinema Film Festival, and a features programmer for Doc NYC, one of my favorite film festivals in New York City. Oh, I saw you at Knock Down the House.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I knew you looked familiar. Yeah. Okay, so Karen, take it away.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. Nice to see such a full house. I just came back from Portland, Maine, and there's a small film festival there, and there are like 8 people in the audience. I'm like, what's going on here? So it's great to see people in the seats. So we're going to talk about what is the new normal for documentary distribution in this ever-evolving landscape. We have a dynamic panel here of women who are heading a diverse range of distribution options in this space. We have Christy Marchese from Picture Motion, which helps independent filmmakers with social issue documentaries. Oh, sorry, is we using this? Yes. Sorry. Christy Marchese with Picture Motion, which helps independent filmmakers with social issue documentaries connect with audiences. And to my immediate right is Deshuna Spencer from Quayle TV, and it's a video streaming network that curates undiscovered and award-winning indie films, documentaries, web series, and children's programming from the global Black community. And we also have on the end here Kim Jackson from from Breaker. You didn't join? Well, from Breaker, and who co-founded the first blockchain entertainment studio, which I'm excited to hear more about. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll start with you, Kim, with blockchain.
You sure you want to start there?
Yeah, we're inquiring minds want to know. So, what is blockchain, and how does a filmmaker produce and distribute and get involved with that model?
So, what blockchain isn't necessarily important because it's a very long answer. What's important to understand about blockchain is it's a new dimension of technology for the internet that will allow for peer-to-peer instantaneous value exchange. So the world has been introduced to blockchain through something called cryptocurrency. You probably have all heard about Bitcoin. So Bitcoin operates on something called blockchain. And so understanding and utilizing blockchain technology to allow for content creators like ourselves to once and for all have access to things like revenue and data and instantaneous value exchange when a transaction happens on a TV VOD platform is what our company has built. So it operates and looks a lot like transaction-based video-on-demand platforms that you use today. The difference for the content creator is that there's an artist portal that you will log into that you can see real-time the activity of that particular film or slate of films. If you're a company who has several titles, you can see the activity of that in real time in terms of revenue, who's watching it, where they're watching it, when they're watching it, and there's also a lot of other options for content creators on that portal as well. So that's a very short answer to that question. And the awesome thing about blockchain is it's coming just like the internet did. Whether we like it or not, we use something called JavaScript every day with the internet. We don't talk about it. So blockchain's a buzzword right now. It's very exciting. A lot of people are in the space building. It's a building phase for blockchain technology. And in the next 3 to 5 years, we will be seeing in many, many different types of business models the use of blockchain technology in being able to give us instantaneous value exchange. We have instantaneous communication right now, and soon we'll be able to get rid of the intermediary and have an instantaneous value exchange. And so that's what our company has built. And it's called Breaker, and it's at breaker.io. We're in beta at the moment, which means you can only use it on your desktop computer, and the mobile app will happen in about 6 to 8 months, so you can use it on your mobile devices and your OTT devices. I'll leave it there for now.
Thank you. Could you just explain, you mentioned the term peer-to-peer. Could you just explain a little bit more about what that means?
Sure. So if you make content and you have an audience out there, what happens today? You sell that content and you lose your connection to that audience for 15 years, actually. And whoever buys your film really doesn't have any incentive to share that information with you. They say they will. Actually, Netflix just flat out says, we're not going to anymore. Here you go, here's your money, bye-bye, which I appreciate the honesty. But it doesn't really allow for companies and filmmakers to have a sustainable business model to create revenue for yourself so you can make your next movie. And so we're going to start to see the shifts, and we've already started to see the shifts in the business models because things like international sales have really changed because of Netflix going global, and so the markets have changed. And so the whole concept is to be able to put the power back into the content creator so that you're having a peer-to-peer exchange, because now where the value is in data and owning data and having access to that data. So what we've built is the ability for content creators to own and control that data and revenue.
Great, thank you. Christy, we'll move to you. Can you talk about the work that Picture Motion does?
Sure. So we function as a social impact agency that works exclusively in film and television. And by that I mean we work directly with distributors, filmmakers, and foundations to develop and implement social impact strategies around the film. And in practice, that's building partnerships, coming up with a call to action. And more, it's events and screenings. So a big part of our work ends up being what we call non-theatrical distribution, bringing films we represent to people who want to see the film, as well as those who need to see the film. That's probably the shortest way to say it.
So, Deshana, you also are bringing content to the audiences that are looking for theirs, specifically in the Black content space. Can you talk about how you go about finding your films to represent?
Sure. So, as I mentioned, Clay TV, we curate content that shares the global Black experience. So we have films from North America, Europe, Latin America, the Caribbean, Africa. All the characters are Black, essentially. And so we get our films from film festivals. We, as a new company, honestly, I can't travel to every single film festival that exists. There's so many of them, right? Going on all the time. I'll be traveling all over the world every single day. So what we typically do is we have a spreadsheet of film festivals that we think are in keeping with our mission. Kweli means truth in Swahili, and so for us, it's not just about having a Black film. It's about having a film that's authentic and tells the truth about the Black experience. So it's not monolithic or demeaning or stereotypical about a Black person, whether they're here or whether they're in Africa or wherever they are. We want to make sure we're telling authentic Black stories. So in saying that, we keep a spreadsheet. We have partnerships with some film festivals. Film festivals reach out to us and say, hey, there's a really great film that we think it would be a great fit for Kweli TV. They make a connection to the filmmaker, and that's how we distribute that film. We also do have a section on our website where filmmakers can actually go and submit their film. We do tell people up front that it has to have been in a film festival. You want to see those list of festivals before we even take a look at it, the film, because we want people to know that if it's a Black movie, it can be a good movie just because it's Black. It doesn't have to be, it could be low budget. There were some really great low budget indie films, but we want to make sure that we're showing high caliber content to our customers. And so we do take submissions as well. But for me, the most important thing is making sure those stories are authentic and truthful to the community.
Yeah, that's very important. Thank you for doing that work. Yeah, because a lot of times the Black content gets lost in the Netflix or the Amazon. So
that's true. And one of the things that one of the main reasons I started Kweli TV is because I couldn't find these films. I would read about films on Shadow Act or IndieWire that had really great film festival runs, and I can't find it. Netflix isn't interested. Netflix is really interested right now in the big budget films or the filmmakers with big names. And for Kweli TV, we don't care what your name is. If you have a really great film, it deserves to be seen. It deserves to have distribution. And I want to show those films. I want to see those films. Truthfully, it's almost shameless. Like, I started a company so I can see films I can't find anywhere else. I made a business out of it. And so we want to honor those filmmakers. We want to show your content. And I always tell people that, even though our films focus on the Black community, you don't necessarily have to be Black to be a filmmaker on our platform. 25% of filmmakers are not Black, so if you have a film that focuses on the global Black experience and you think is authentic, if you've been to a film festival, I'm open to seeing it. So don't let that deter you, because we do focus on Black content only. That's great. We do non-exclusive. I mean, it's really interesting. The reason we did that is because I don't want to be the end all to a filmmaker. I don't want to be like the only way you're going to make money is on Kweli TV. I will say that, talking to filmmakers, they make more money from us than Amazon and Vimeo, which is always surprising to me because we're a small company. I started my company with $20,000, and I pay my filmmakers more than Amazon does, and Amazon, he's like a multi-billionaire, right? And I'm really proud of that because, we feature all of our films on social media, we have a distribution list via email. We don't have hierarchy. We don't play favorites. For one film, it's a short feature, whatever. We promote them all the same, and I think that's the reason why our filmmakers do so. I have a filmmaker here actually on the platform. Down there. So she can talk to you about her experience on Kweli TV as well. So it's subscription based. 60% of our revenue goes to our filmmakers, 60%, and it's based off of minutes viewed. So that's how we pay our filmmakers, and it's every single quarter.
Okay, we're gonna show some clips that Savannah's showing me a sign about. So here's a video portion of our program.
Just getting our sound.
Oh, this is just, we usually do speaking engagements. I say, before I say what Quality TV is, I'm going to show you. So I'm going to show you what Quality TV is.
That was, what did you say?
I'm the only clip?
No, Kim also has one.
Okay.
Well, let's look at Kim's from Breaker.
It's like this. Bring it in, and then back, and then forward.
It's impossible not to watch. This is love, you know.
It's cringeworthy.
These kitties are so popular, right, Meow?
Yeah, that's content.
Wait, what?
But then.
Creación.
There's creation.
The untold.
Undertold, maybe.
It's that stuff we can't wait to see, hear,
Or listen to.
The rich. 有意義嘅
Magnífico.
gorgeous, inspiring, thoughtfully crafted work.
Unfiltered from the minds of artists, visionaries.
And maniacs. You know, the wizards we all admire.
That's creation.
So why would you settle for views to the moon?
When you can take a Mars shot.
Let's craft the world we live in.
Let's go post-selfie. Post-selfie! Where an idea can be nourished on the screen, in our ears.
On the wall.
Because art, with a capital A, is not the pleasure dome of conglomerates. Let's break the fourth wall.
Let's break in the blockchain.
Breaker. Remember that. So, coming. Alors viens. Tune in.
Break in.
And let's bring your stories to life. Because we want to break out your vision. Let's create it. Enjoy the show.
Those are great. I love trailers. I always want to see all the films. So you guys are all interested in getting these stories out. Is it possible for you guys to work with each other? Can Quayle work with Bitcoin, and can Pick Motion work
Well,
with Breaker?
So just to be clear, Bitcoin and blockchain are not the same thing.
Sorry,
That's
what I
okay.
meant.
So yeah, cryptocurrency is not blockchain. It operates on blockchain. So really with Breaker, we're a new distribution platform that really is for the content creator. So we have library partners right now from, Comedy Dynamics to Oscilloscope to Kino Lorber, and we're signing, more partners every single day. We have individual content creators, we say content, individual artists. We are really all about the artist here, and empowering creators to be able to distribute their work to their audiences, and most importantly, get paid. I've been a producer for 20 years, and after my last sale of my last film, it's such a disappointing endeavor. You work for years. I see smiles. I see smiles. You work for years and years on this passion project, especially with documentaries. You know, it's years of your time. And then, you know, with documentaries, you get offered like $5,000 for distribution. And then, you know, after you realize that's the best it's going to get, you sign your rights away for 15 years, and it's literally gone. And you never see a report. You never see anything. And this happens with feature film as well. And so after that, my partners and I were looking at different resources and ways to create revenue models, that there had to be a better way. And that's when we learned about blockchain technology. So we've built something. So it's less about the blockchain technology and it's more about what it actually offers you, which means, you know, yes, you could have a channel for your, you know, for your artist and for your library. We work with companies like yours all the time doing awesome campaigns. We have a documentary film out right now, and I wish I knew about you then, because it would have been a perfect marriage. Of course, and I'm sure a lot of films that we have on our platform, you've probably done campaigns for in the past, and so and currently. So yeah, absolutely, there's an opportunity, and we are non-exclusive. So you can be on other platforms, you can be other places, and you can be on Breaker. We do have a few exclusives. Like we have one that will be hitting our platform in about 2 months. It's going to theaters May 17th. It's called Perfect. It is executive produced by Steven Soderbergh. And we do have an exclusive window. And we had a film called Prospect that was at South by with Pedro Pascal, and that was on exclusively on our platform for 60 days. And then it goes all over the world, you know, and all the other platforms and whatnot. So at this particular stage, because we're in beta, we certainly wouldn't demand exclusivity. Also, it's not really in the benefit of the content creator. So, you know, why demand that?
So I was sitting here thinking actually the same question. I'm like, how can I work with you guys? Because I think actually all of us are coming from the same place of we're trying to connect really great, compelling stories to audiences. That's it at the end of the day. And we're trying to pass some of the, if I can say it, like some of the middlemen that are in the way. And I'm kind of curious, so how does, just so I understand how it works, like is it like VHX when it started? I can come on and just buy one film? Is it a subscription? How does that work? If I'm the consumer, how does it work to watch your
so
films?
if you're a consumer, it's transaction-based, because of how the blockchain works. It's a peer-to-peer value exchange. So you own the movie. You know, there's a whole decentralized movement going on around power to the people and putting, you know, that's why Satoshi introduced blockchain in the form of crypto. You know, in a perfect world, there's a basic universal income. And this person, who we're not sure who this person is, it's a mysterious person. I think it's a time traveler or maybe an alien from another planet. But this person's idea was to be able to offer a basic universal income to all people. And so because it's peer-to-peer and there are no third parties deciding what has value, you and I get to decide what has value. And so, you know, the idea of the peer-to-peer exchange is a very futuristic idea, but it's a very logical one, and it's a very empowering one for people, because it takes the 1% out of the equation completely. And so it takes the participation of all of us to work together, and it's about all of us getting to win and work together.
I'll say, like, one of the things we're doing is, I mentioned we've been doing more and more screening tours, and we joined forces with another kind of leader in the space, a group called Film Sprout, which does an amazing job at building grassroots movements around films. And so we joined forces and to kind of take this next step of how do we give what we do to everybody? How can we allow other people to do their own grassroots screening tours in a way? And so we've been working on kind of behind the scenes and hope to launch it in the next few months. Essentially, it's very similar to kind of what you're talking about, but our motivation is pure exhibition screenings, building a better technology to allow creatives and content owners to put their films up and for people to for hosts to connect with them and book their films. Not dissimilar from TUG, but only using non-theatrical spaces. We built up a database of over, I think we're at like 8,000 screening hosts at this point, who booked film screenings, some free, some licensed, and a range of fees. And so that's kind of the idea is, can we kind of, I want to skip myself in a sense, like I don't want to be the only group doing this. We want to find a way to kind of let everyone else participate. So it's similar. We're not building on the blockchain, which I'm now kind of regretting, but we'll see how that goes.
It's not too late.
Okay, great. Want to help me?
Sure.
Can we work together?
We'd love to.
Okay, that'd be great,
Absolutely.
actually.
Are you kidding me? That would be amazing.
Okay, great. Okay, we're done here.
All right, good.
So, Deshauna, you talked about how you source your film through submissions in your spreadsheet, your festival spreadsheet. Can you two talk about how you source your films?
Sure. Well, we have a team, a content acquisition team. And but for the record, I really hate the word content. I think it just so demoralizes the artistic cinematic experience. But because we also have music and iPod, podcasts and other types of, that's the umbrella, right? Let's come up with another term. I would love to come up with a creative term. Anyway, so we have a content team that talks with library partners. So we have everything from library partners, and then we have acquisition team who goes to film festivals like you do, and we take submissions, and folks send us stuff, and we're sort of always out there looking for stuff. And we do have an original content division at the moment, and we do have a few original content things that we've produced and things that we've acquired that will have our label on them. And the platform is available to anyone and everyone, so you can all upload and create a channel for yourself. You can all do that right now. Certain people have figured out how to do it on their own, which is amazing to me because the technology is pretty new. So we have people who walk most of everybody else, including myself, through that process. But there are some really tech advanced people who can who have done that, which we're amazed by. We're like, you want a job? Come on in. We'll teach these other people how to do this. But the idea is this is for everyone, and anyone and everyone can have a channel. And then we have a huge marketing team that markets individual titles and individual original content and the whole entire platform. So we don't play favorites as well. We don't curate in that way. We let the audience do that. And so we're sort of all over the place with all the festivals and all of the different outlets. So
I'd say for us, our number one marketing tactic is do a good job. We're in a slightly different business model where people are coming to us to hire us to run a campaign for them. And we found time and time again, our best marketing, our best business development is do a kick-ass job on the last film because everybody talks and it's a small industry. And so we put that out there first, do a great job on campaigns and essentially we have people coming to us. And then we take a look at the film and say, can we actually help this film? Is this the right time? Is it the right story? Is it the right filmmaker? Do we have the right list of screening hosts for it? And so it's kind of on a case-by-case basis for each project.
So documentary is looking better and better. When I started in the early 1800s, people were shooting on 16, and it was gritty and grainy, and shooting on video. The stories were fantastic, but they weren't so visually pleasing overall. I feel overall the quality and the visual, the caliber has really been raised, which lends itself, of course, to a theatrical distribution. And I think most filmmakers shoot their films to be shown in the theater, and so it's great to have distribution and get your stories out, but you had seen it in a little bitty itty bitty cell phone on your subway. Can you guys talk a little bit about your thoughts on theatrical distribution and how that impacts the new models?
I have a lot to say about that. I think theatrical has turned into the marketing. That's how you market your film now, to get audiences aware of it, to then go to wherever it's going to end up on video, because I think that there's only a select type of audience that now wants to go to the theater, and those people are at film festivals, which is great. That's where art happens. The cinema is where art happens, because you need people in a conversation in order to really have art, and I never want to ever see theater go away. It's so important to what we do as filmmakers. And with that said, it's not a place where you're going to be able to generate a lot of revenue. I mean, I'm sure you have this conversation a lot with filmmakers, and so it's an opportunity to really market your film, get those journalistic reviews, get into the award season, all of that type of stuff. So it really should be treated as a marketing opportunity for exhibition, leading to wherever you're going to be video on demand, which should be lots of places, in my opinion. Because everybody sort of has a different way of watching things on their television or their devices. Certain films, in my opinion, should never be watched on your phone, but somehow that's how a lot of people like to watch film and watch TV and watch documentaries. But I think, that I'm sure you can speak to that. I'll let you take that one, because I'm sure you have that conversation a lot with filmmakers.
We do. We really believe in the exhibition and the in-person life of a film. Like, it's made for the film. Everything you just said, I agree with. And so what we've been trying to do is really carve out that non-theatrical window. There are, if a film releases in theaters, you're what, 10 cities, 20 cities? Like, independent films and docs just get smaller releases. So not just the revenue, but the reach is difficult for that in-person experience. And movies culturally are still the thing that you turn off your phone, you participate, you have a group experience. And we lose that a little bit with TV and digital, which is great because you have reach. You can reach more people that way. It's often more affordable. But a lot of the films we work on deserve a conversation afterwards, or they deserve people talking about it afterwards. And they've shown that when you watch something together, there's like a neurologically shared experience that happens, and your opinions get shaped by just talking to a few people afterwards. And often we see, we're in the age of Facebook and YouTube, people posting their comments, we're distancing ourselves. We have this internet between us all that we don't have to face another person with our opinions. And I think I get old-fashioned, I'll be from the 1900s, like I care about, like, I think there still is a place for coming together around films. And so with the model we're trying to build is really try to cater to the host or the venue or the space that could be turned into a theater and better optimize that, because there are great stories, there's great storytelling content. I actually caught myself not saying content a few minutes ago because you said it in that trailer, and you're right, they're stories and they're powerful. They're more than just content about cats. So how can we do this to like incentivize or turn spaces all across the US in small pockets for small micro audiences into theaters to reframe what a theatrical distribution is? So that's what we're trying to do.
So with Quality TV, we're streaming only, right? But we do have customers who are looking to have that face-to-face interaction. So we are actually looking at in-person, community-based screenings this year. That's something that we've had people ask about here from the Netherlands, other parts of Europe, parts of Africa. Our customers want to have film screenings in their communities. I also think it's very important to do that, especially for Quality TV. We have a lot of films that focus on a lot of social justice issues that I think people really want to have conversations about. And we have a comment section on our website where people can leave a comment about the film, but it is very one-off. And 2 days later, the filmmakers, oh yeah, thanks for that comment. I meant this when it's not very transactional. It's not very, up close and personal. And so we've been looking at ways in which we can create community around our content. So that's something that I think is very important for our filmmakers as well as for our customers. So we are looking into that this year as well. I do want to talk to you about your list of venues because we're looking at some spaces now.
Oh, great.
We're trying to find spaces. So.
And the stories that you guys are representing are exactly the stories that we want to get out there and to connect with all different types of audiences. You're saying it's not just, well, I think anyway, not just for one group. I think more people need to see those types of films and those types of stories and the diverse types of stories within one, as you said, global Black community. So I think like this, if we could get this platform right, so nascent, like this is hardly getting started, so I'm really overselling it at this point, but like this is exactly what we're trying to do.
And also, traditionally it's like you have to do one before you do the other, right? Because of how these deals all get put together. And so with a platform like ours, and I'm sure like maybe yours as well, we have a documentary that's out right now called The Trust Machine, and it's about blockchain technology, so take a look at it. It's on our website, it's on our platform. It's available on breaker.io now. And we are continuing to do live screenings all over the world right now. We have a grassroots campaign, which similar to what you guys do, that are reaching out to communities, tech communities, people who are curious about blockchain. And they're hosting screenings everywhere, Chicago, Denver, Houston, and it's on our platform right now. And the hope is, hey, I watched this really cool documentary. You got to watch this, mom, dad, cousin, friend, whomever. It's available here, which will drive people to the platform to watch it. And there's no reason why you can't do both at the same time, because you can utilize theatrical in a brand new way. You can utilize the spend that you're doing in theatrical to drive people to wherever it is on video on demand. And I think these old models of having to do a window here and before you can do this, before you can do that, or we're seeing the beginning of the end of that, because it doesn't work, because you don't really get to make any money with theatrical. And what happens is distributors make a deal with you because they want VOD. That's where the revenue is. That's where the money is. So they promise you, yeah, we'll put it in theaters, and there's no money. They're not going to make any revenue there. They want the VOD. Well, let me just tell you a little secret about VOD. You could pay $5,000 to Juice or Premiere and get your film on iTunes within a week. If you have promotional dollars, because I guarantee you they're not going to promote it, they're just going to put it up, you can promote that on your own, and it's on iTunes on transaction based, right? That's not brain surgery. Now, your distributor is selling you that it's very complicated, and it's more than you can deal with, and let us take care of that for you, and we're gonna do all this magic. And if you've sold a film, you know that doesn't happen, and you get really disappointed. So with models like ours, you can put your film on there, continue to do grassroots screenings, and drive audience for revenue to those platforms.
Great. And just to clarify that, is there a strategy that's better, one way of doing that's better than the other, to start on the festival circuit or in community screenings and then go to VOD, or what's a good strategy for filmmakers to get to maximize the eyeballs and revenue?
I really think it depends on what kind of film you have. You kind of have to start there, And in a company like yours, you can speak to that, right?
I'd say similar. It is very hard. It's a lot to ask of someone to pay a licensing fee if they can watch your film on Hulu, or if it's really readily available. So we do need that space in some way. If it's online, it's just a lot harder. It's not just for us to book, it's to ask someone else to then go ask other people to show up for something. So for us, that little window does matter. And it's under 3 months. It could just be 1 month in some cases. We work with films. We work with Netflix and Hulu and Amazon, and we get 3 weeks sometimes. But as soon as it's up online, it is really tough to get people to organize a whole event around it.
For us, I guess because we're a smaller company, and for a lot of our films, they're not on Netflix or Hulu. They're only on Quilly TV, or they are on Amazon Prime, and it's like a needle in a haystack. So I think for us, we're a little bit different. The reason we asked for it to be in a film festival is because it's a good vetting for us to show our customers that you're getting quality content. So to me, I don't tell filmmakers that you have to be in a film festival, and that's the first way to go. But to be on Quilly TV, that's for us, that's important to be in a film. It doesn't be Sundance. It can be the Gary, Indiana Film Festival, but we do have films from Gary, Indiana Film Festival. But we want to show that someone thought it was good enough to be screened. I think as a filmmaker, it can get very expensive to be in film festivals. You're paying for these different fees, but there are some festivals that really fit more with your mission. There are some documentary film festivals. There are some that are more sci-fi. There are some that focus on certain ethnic groups. But I think that it's important to reach that core audience through a film festival initially, and then for us, it's easier for us to go out and sell it to our audience, because they know, oh wow, it's been in these 5 festivals. That means someone thought it was good if I'm going to give it a try.
Well, I think that it's important to know what kind of film you have, and in your production budget, you're doing yourself a disservice if you do not earmark at least 20% of your budget for the exhibition part of your process. It is so crucial. You don't want to work that hard and then have nothing at the end and hope that you get distribution. That's like a terrible model. So please don't do that to yourselves. It's extremely necessary, because by doing something like hiring this company, getting a publicist who has the track record to be able to say, hey, this is the type of film you have. I recommend you go to these festivals first. Let me make some phone calls for you. And you're paying them a few $1,000s to do this work. You want to first go to the film festivals. And the exhibition materials you need for film festivals are much different than the materials you need for distribution. And so I think that, keeping a little bit of your budget so that you can hire, just like you hired a producer and a line producer and, anyone else, you need to hire this publicist and this company to help you decide what this is and where it should go next. It's a very important part of the process. So I highly recommend that you treat that as a department, just like you did, in your budget, and then take that step, because every film will have a different path depending on what it's about and what the quality of the production was, et cetera, et cetera.
I'll say, I just heard this quote from my business partner who got it from somebody else, but she said, distribution isn't something you get, it's something you do. And that's what the biggest thing that's changed. And once you kind of get your mind wrapped around that, everything else kind of makes sense. And so I just learned that, but it really helps me understand it and explain it to filmmakers.
I'm going to open it up to the audience for questions. Sir.
Could you each mention what mistakes that were glaring that content creators and filmmakers have made?
In terms of distribution?
What's the worst thing someone did?
Didn't pay their bill. That's tough. I don't know. I think there's like the little mistakes along the way, but I think you kind of nailed it. Like they didn't quite plan ahead. Maybe didn't set aside money or started fundraising. We work in social issue films. Didn't start the grant writing early enough until they are starting their distribution, and now they're like, great impact. And there's a grant cycle. It's hard to fundraise. So I wouldn't say it's a glaring thing. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Hi, thank you. I'd like to know about, I have an older film that took me 9 years to make. I shot it on 16 millimeter. It never really got the full distribution, but the topic in the film is still relevant. So it's done the festival circuit, and it was on the Hallmark Channel, but I know there's more juice in it. And what would you suggest for an older film like that, an hour-long documentary?
I guess real quick, is it anywhere else? Has it been released anywhere else? Is there any distribution for it?
There was, and I didn't feel they were doing enough, so I thought, I'll take it on the road, but that was kind of stupid because peace and environmental awareness became popular after I decided to take it on the road, and then I realized I should have left it with the distributor. So it only went to the Hallmark Channel. It hasn't had a big distribution.
I wish it was always fashionable, peace and environmental awareness.
No, I was gonna say, so you just did a TV deal, that's all you did?
Yeah, it showed 2 years on the Hallmark Channel.
So you never did a VOD deal?
Not yet,
streaming?
No, because
Well, you can that's still an option.
But which of you would be, should I speak to about this?
Well, like I said, anyone can come to Breaker and get their film up there. So, let's talk after.
Okay,
Yeah.
and Christy, do you take older films like this?
We do
it is
actually, but first it's actually less about the age of the film and more about like the future opportunity. So we'd sit down with you and say, okay, where did this screen before? Were there organizations that endorsed it?
Okay.
Does it feel old, not timely, but overexposed? Do people feel like this time has already passed? Because we have done it a couple of times, and every time if it's been in theaters before, or if it's had a robust tour and they're trying to do a second wind on it, it's just really tough. There's newer content out there.
Right.
And again, if it's been exposed too much, then it's harder. If it hasn't been seen anywhere, yeah, we picked up films that are a couple of years old.
Okay, I'll reach out to both of you. Thank you.
You could do things. I mean, like, Earth Day. There's moments and times, depending on what it is, that we'd have to see it. But there's opportunities, right, to like have a life. But it all depends on what it's about.
Kim, I was wondering, what is the monetary model for Breaker? Where is the money? If I put up a film, I understand that you can then give me the demographics and...
It's between 70 and 80%. So we obviously upload your film and put it on and service it and have the accounting in the back end. So there is some administrative stuff, but we don't license. So you're owning it, we don't license it. And I'd love to, at some point, show what you see on your artist portal so that you actually see the benefits of it. Obviously, we have, to service the film, it goes up on the cloud, all of those sort of things similar to what you're doing when it goes on iTunes. Oh yeah, okay, cool. So if you have a film or a library on our platform, this is right now being called the artist portal. It's like your dashboard. So when you come on, you see here's your menu, and here's the engagement. So you can see how many people are following this title, how many title likes, what the revenue is, the average rating. And then there's a place where people can, in real time, tell you how they feel about your film, and you can engage with them. This is all just yours privately. This is you. So you have the platform, and then you log in, and you go, okay. And if you, on the left here, you say, here's how many, let's just say you have several titles, because we have some content partners, they have a lot. Here's how many people liked these particular titles. Daily channel followers, it sort of tells you the metrics of that per month. And if you scroll up a little bit, Marcia, please. So then the average rating versus your gross revenue, and the number of likes versus your gross revenue per title. And then moving up, you have the number of transactions, your net, your gross. Now we have this thing called smart contract systems. So let's say you have a waterfall deal where you have to pay people percentages, like your director and your writer, and well, documents are a little bit different, but if it's, say, a feature, this smart contract can be programmed with your waterfall so that you can split all of that. So you see, and we say Stripe fee, with our platform, you can use cryptocurrency. So if you are into crypto, which I highly recommend you all do, just like you got an email address a million years ago, get a wallet address. It's very easy. But in any event, you can pay in crypto or USD or whatever fiat, and so Stripe is just a credit card processing, and they do take a fee, unfortunately. But when you do crypto, there's no fees. And then platform fee, so you can see what Breaker takes, right, for servicing this. And again, we're not licensing. We don't take a license. You own this. This is your IP. Do with it what you want. And then it tells you transaction types, which is the rental versus buying, gross revenue types, etc. So this is data that the Netflix and Amazon and all of them have on your titles, which you never, ever, ever get or see or can't control. Now, if you take this to an investor for your next film, this is like really powerful data to be able to say, this is how my film performed my last one. Would you invest in my next one? And so again, this is about putting the power back into the content creators' control so that you can have a revenue stream for a business model.
Does the filmmaker set the price?
We suggest, certainly you can, yes. I mean, obviously you kind of want to stay around market, like especially if it's on other platforms. If you have a deal already, and let's say you're already on Amazon or something, you're going to they probably have a rule where you can't go lower because they're already there. So I mean, it's usually about where market average is for it. And I mean, if you have an older title and you only want to charge a nominal fee, you can do that too. We have opportunities for people to give out coupons if you want to give it away free for a promotion for some reason. And we are actually working in the future on a subscription model. The only problem with that is blockchain is peer-to-peer. So I buy it, you get paid. Like that's how it works, right? And so with a subscription model, then that means there's a pool of money that's swimming around out there, and how do you decide who gets what part of that pie? So subscription models are a little challenging that way. Not so much for the content creator, but for our business model, because all of our investors are like, why wouldn't you do subscription? You'd have all this money. And we're like, you don't understand blockchain. It's peer-to-peer. So, but we are looking at different solutions. Might be something like how you see Audible today, where you get credits. You buy certain credits on Audible, and then when you're ready to purchase the book, you can, you pay X. So we're looking at certain models like that.
I've got the mic, so I can ask a question. Now, I watched you guys sort of connect with each other and immediately start to find synergies. I'm a filmmaker, director. My last movie was about pregnancy. It's now sort of the standard of the world about pregnancy. I'm good at making films. I'm terrible at connecting with people. So with all the noise that exists, how do you have any hints on how to do it? I mean, I'm terrified to talk in front of all you, even though I'm like supposed to be good at it, right? And I'm terrified to go talk to people, which is probably why I'm stuck by myself, pining over the fact that my next film I want to shift humanity on its axis and raise the level of women's empowerment to a place that we can't even imagine right now. So that's what I'm working on. But I'm terrible at networking and talking to people. So, and I'm sure everybody else suffers a little bit from that noise. Like, how do we break through that noise? How do we get to the people who have the capability to network us and pull us together and make something big? So
you're a great speaker. You are.
I'm not a great speaker. I play a good one on TV, sort of a thing. So.
Well, that's actually half of getting over your fear. I hate doing this stuff. This is really hard.
Every time NPR has a call-in, I call in, and I'm terrified. I like trying to practice talking on NPR just to get better at it, But,
I've heard you.
Okay. Thanks.
So there's a long answer to this, and that is kind of our business model for how Picture Motion works, where it's exactly that. When we started 7 years ago, we started working with filmmakers who were using social media self-market and YouTube and Vimeo and VHX to self-distribute, and learned very quickly, all great at making films, not great marketers and distributors. And so that's where we were kind of coming in to help. And so we look at a few different things. So at the time it was digital strategy. That's changed as the social media models changed to be more advertising driven. We could no longer grow organically. Try to give a short answer here. So we basically look at all the different ways to connect with audiences. So who are you trying to reach? Who do they listen to? And how do you reach them? And so what used to be digital now is like a little bit of press, a lot of screening tour, and a lot of what we call experiential marketing, doing events. We also work with partners. So for any issue-based film, who are the different organizations already working on that issue, and how can you work together? It's a long answer, sorry. But that's not all you can do. They're all overburdened. Why is your film different? You have to really approach every organization as a real partnership. Like, what are you bringing to the table besides the film, and how can you help them? It's not easy. There's no simple answer. If you're kind of handling everything on your own, you try and find partners like us. Like, we'll do consulting, because sometimes you can handle the campaign on your own if you have the right partners, if you have a producer that's really good at this stuff, and we can just kind of guide you guys to do it. If you have a really ambitious intern who's great at email marketing. It's my long, incoherent answer of it takes a lot, and it's finding the right partners to do it with you.
Oh, thanks. Christy, do you ever work with filmmakers who are in the fundraising stage for their social justice documentary? Like, they've got some money, but not the whole, and they're in, beginning part of production, trying to get everything together and reach that audience that might want to help pay for it?
Yes, not formally. So usually, especially with documentary film, we really try not to come in a formal relationship until the film's at post-production. And has an idea of the film festival they're looking at or would like to premiere at. And partially that's because you don't really know what the film is going to be till you're in the editing room. And if we come in too early and we start engaging organizations, we find we're going to have to do it again or reshare the film 2 or 3 times. So that means usually the fundraising for the production and the impact is done at that point, or ideally. So no, we do come in like a friendly capacity. If it's a filmmaker we've worked with before or a film we're really interested in, we'll say, hey, send us the grant that you're writing and we'll take a look at it. We have not found a model that makes sense for everybody to actually help with the fundraising. We've experimented, we've done grant writing, we've tried Kickstarter and Indiegogo campaigns, and we already kind of do a lot in the impact and marketing, like as we were chatting about, like how do we, because every campaign's a little bit different, and fundraising is where we've kind of stepped away from.
I had a question. I wanted to go back to the question this woman asked about an older film. I didn't hear Deshauna's answer. And I wanted to ask Deshauna, who else is like you in Black content, per se? Who would be your, I don't want to say competitor, but who else is out there that's similar to you?
So we definitely take older films, especially for a lot of older Black films. They did not get distribution back in the day. A lot of them, especially the social justice films, people were afraid to show them because they want Black people to be empowered. So we're definitely, truthfully, like that's. So we definitely take older films. We have films from the 70s, the 60s, documentaries on our platform. They actually do quite well. Documentaries are actually our #1 genre on Quilly TV. People think Black people don't watch documentaries. Well, you're proving them wrong. Black people love documentaries. So, and older documentaries at that, because for us, we want people to be educated about culture, and so our documentaries do that. So yes, definitely. As far as competitors, we have a couple. Urban Movie Channel, Bob Johnson, the founder of BET, actually started a streaming service called Urban Movie Channel. He ended up selling it to A&E or AMC, one of the A's. I keep forgetting which one. But they have some documentaries, but they most, to me, focus on the mainstream romantic comedies, stage play type of content. No shade to them, but our goal is to be a little bit more educational than just showing the stereotypical Black content. There's another streaming service called Afroland, and they mostly show African films only, not really American films. And Brown Sugar is owned by, got the name of the company, Bounce. Bounce TV owns a streaming service called Brown Sugar, and they do Black exploitation films. So they do older films, 60s through 80s, but a lot of those like Shaft, Foxy Brown, those films, they don't really show indie films like we do.
Do you guys ever overlap with Array? No?
So Array focuses only on Netflix, so unfortunately, yeah.
But I thought they had like a deal there. I thought she had a distribution network too, because similar to how we is it Firm? Thank you. You're right. I don't know.
Yeah, but with Netflix. Yeah, they only work with Netflix right now.
How are we doing for time, Savannah? Okay, great.
Hold on, one second. Hi. So my film, I'm part of New Day Distribution Cooperative, which markets to the educational community and not VOD. It's a filmmaker-run distribution co-op that's 40 years old. So how, and my film was on America Reframed on the World Channel. So how do you guys work with a film that's primarily at this point being marketed to the educational community, but want to branch out to larger audiences without cutting that educational distribution, if that makes sense?
With me?
Anyone?
I mean, we have worked with some filmmakers who have their films like the education distribution. And I guess because our audience are just starving for these educational films, like for them it's a new film, even if it's a little older. So we work with any filmmaker, like we do non-exclusives, as long as the distributor is okay with us working with you as on a non-exclusive basis, we're pretty open with those films as well.
I'd say we're about the same. So we've worked alongside education distributors where they have their lists and their outreach. Anything that goes through them goes through their licensing process. Anyone we're doing outreach to, if they have exclusive, if we bring them in, we then just kind of shovel them over there. We don't take a percentage. Like we don't right now function like a distributor in that way. So we're more the marketing arm to bring people in to host screenings and go beyond just their education list. And then in other cases, if it's non-exclusive, they have non-exclusive license, anything we bring in just goes straight to the filmmaker. We process the licensing fees and it goes directly to the filmmaker. So collaboratively.
It's the same. It really just depends on the film. But our exclusive, we have a documentary right now and we're about to work with an education. I mean, our goal is just to get it to as many eyeballs as possible. So whatever opportunity we can take advantage of.
Hi. Oh, hi. So I guess my question is, all right, so, best case scenario in the world, you have all the money you need to do anything you want and, you have a backer that wants this story out there. Okay, so what are your steps to successfully help them do that? If money's not an object and if you already have what you need, where do you go first and what's a useful way to actually get them just the pure numbers of people that want to see this project that needs to get out there?
I can start on the exhibition side, and digital, I'd be curious what you guys think. If you had all the money and all the access in the world, there's some elements that I think are kind of basic and sad, but I think help. Celebrity involvement, like have some sort of celebrity, either executive producer endorse. Someone's going to stump for the film and help promote it. Publicity really matters too. Publicity both in the industry side and also to the different target audiences that you're working with. Word of mouth screenings matter. Eventizing, doing a few kind of key events. If you're political, see if you can do something in DC or at state houses. Any kind of events to engage people. Get press on, engage people at the events, and then they're posting about it and pushing it to their social afterwards. I do think a theatrical of some sort, get all the money in the world, do theatrical, and then give those tickets away, but give them to kids, bus kids in, fill your Friday screenings with kids. And then I'll kind of for me, I still think there needs to be a non-theatrical. All the money in the world, it's not going to put you in all the Avengers theaters. I would still want to do some sort of grassroots, give the film to the people in a small window. And then digital, I'd be curious what you guys think.
That's really interesting. I don't have all the money in the world, so I've never had the opportunity. Like, all the money in the world, what would I do? What's been really without all the money in the world, but if the little bit of money we have, influencers has been really kind of similar to celebrities. Social media influencers has been really helpful for Quality TV, and if you have a lot of money and one influencer can mention their film on IG, a live IG video, it can totally go viral. I know viral is I don't like the word viral, but the reality is that people look up to these influencers and they believe them. It could be shoes, whatever. And so even for content, and it's been really helpful for us. That's pretty much the only thing I can kind of think of all the money in the world. And really using digital, using social media, and using people sort of talking with each other in order to get the word out about your film.
And also just, again, classic element, really good trailer, like make the film really good, that's obvious, but also really good trailer, really good marketing assets, and a range of assets so people can promote the film for you.
Yeah, I mean, if you have all the money in the world, hire really, really, really good professional people who have a great track record. I mean, to answer your question, if you're shy, then make sure you have the budget to hire someone who will go out there and do all that stuff for you. But I think it's important that you plan ahead and make sure you have the resources to do that. And if you're not an expert in it, I mean, when you're making a movie, you hire other people to do certain things because they're better at it than you are. And if you're a good director, you realize that. So this is an extension of the filmmaking process. It's not something separate. It's all part of the filmmaking process. And if you do have all the money in the world, then hire really awesome people, like Christy's company.
Gosh, thanks. Excuse me. Are you planning a publicity campaign for your platform so that people go there as a source for watching video, or is the publicity up more to the producers of the individual programs?
No, that's a great question. We are doing publicity, yes. So we're in beta right now. So we did do a little bit of an initial push to announce. We used to have a different name, so we rebranded, and our platform is in beta. And we do marketing on certain titles that are with library content titles right now. And when we go mobile, which is OTT devices, so you can watch it on your television at home with whatever OTT device you have, Apple TV or whatever, we'll be doing a considerable marketing campaign. And then we will continue to market titles to draw people to the platform. It benefits us as much as it benefits the filmmakers. And we're still working out what those campaigns look like. We have an awesome marketing team, and like I said, we're getting new titles every day to the platform. We have drunk parents on there. I saw the trailer on iTunes and I was like, I don't think I'll watch this. And now it's on our platform. I'm like, I'll watch it. Just because I want the filmmakers to benefit. You know what I mean? And I know they will on our platform. But if I watch it on iTunes, they're not. And just to share some marketing research. So we've been doing marketing research about how people consume their content. And most people think that we're rich. You filmmakers who have films out there, the people who are watching them at home think that we're all rich. We're just hanging out. That's the perception, that these films I'm watching out there and on Netflix, these people are really rich. And so the misconception is that we're not getting paid. And musicians have done a great job of letting their fans know that I ain't getting paid, right? I mean, and so, but filmmakers don't talk about that. There might be some cases here and there on television shows where the producers or the creators got, totally robbed, and you'll hear about those stories. But in general, audiences are unaware that what they're watching on Netflix, these filmmakers are not getting paid. And so, with blockchain and what we're doing, we're not even going to try to talk about that out there, because they don't care. They want to come home, they want to put on their Apple TV, they want a glass of wine, they want to eat, and they want to watch it with ease. Not too many steps, don't ask me to do too much, I just want to watch it. So it would be up to us to participate on platforms where we get paid, and then take those dollars that we're not putting in distributors' pockets and market our film so that the money goes back into our own pockets. So it's a different way of thinking, right? You just have to sort of reallocate your resources a bit. Because if you're going to give it away, you might as well just save it and use it and then put it back in your pocket, right?
I have a question for Christy. Can you outline what good assets are? I think everyone could benefit from.
So for us, and again, I'm coming from the perspective of our partners that are promoting the films that we work on, and the hosts that are promoting their own events, more than just like a trailer and a poster. We give them like a whole set, like 20 different social media memes to pick from. So Instagram squares to clips for Instagram stories, Facebook clips. I guess that's it. A list of social media assets that are a little bit different. So they're not just posting the same thing. If you have the time and energy, and I highly encourage everyone to use Canva. It's Canva? Yeah, super easy. It's like, I guess, Adobe Photoshop, for people who don't know how to use Adobe Photoshop. And so you can just put in your colors and type quotes from your own film and make your own memes in a few seconds. Oh, Canva, C-A-N-V-A, like canvas without the S.com. It's awesome. Like everything on our Instagram, like we make on Canva. And oftentimes when we represent social media campaigns for our filmmakers, we're using Canva. It's amazing. It's free or super cheap.
Can I ask you guys a question as from the consumer end? There's so much stuff, I won't say content. There's so many stories out there that I want to see, but a lot of times you come home with your glass of wine and your popcorn and you sit down and it takes you 45 minutes to find something. Can you tell, yeah, and I want to see these films, but unless I run into you in a bar and you tell me about it, I don't know that it's out there. Can you tell me what moves that you guys are making to make it simpler for consumers to find things on your platforms?
So we only release about 3 titles a week on purpose. We're not trying to be Netflix and have a million films like that SNL sketch where they were scrolling for like a year or something for one movie. The reason is because we're curators and we want people to know we're curating content for our audience, and we know what our audience is looking for. Right now, we only have 300 titles on the platform. We have some customers like, I've blown through everything. Really? Everything? All 300 films? Which is great, but for us, because we're curating, we're selective. And because we're selective, then our customers know, okay, these 2 films came out this week. I'm going to spend my weekend watching this one documentary or this short or I'm going to send my kid this new cartoon series. So that's how we sort of manage that, because we have an e-newsletter distribution that it goes out to like 25,000 people. Every time we release a film, we email all the films. So like unlike a Netflix, because they have so much content coming out, they can't have an e-newsletter of like 1,000 films, right? And we, with the synopsis, link directing back to the film, and also on social media. A lot of our filmmakers, they're smaller filmmakers, and so we do take the time and make the Facebook videos and the IG 60-second versions for our filmmakers. Yeah, we do that. No, because we're curators, so we don't have a million films. We want all of our filmmakers to be successful, so we do take the time on social media to make sure that we're able to promote those films heavily. And because of that, our customers are like, oh, I'm gonna watch this tomorrow. We see them messaging on social media about the films that they're saving, putting their favorites to watch on the weekends. And that's pretty much how we do it.
I find that really difficult too as a consumer. There's nothing on, and you're like, oh, it's like crazy, right? There's like a zillion things out there. So one of the things our platform is doing is really about discovery. We want people to come there because they're being advised to watch a certain film, but then stay to discover. So there's options when you create your account to then, we have library partners, right? So let's say you like Criterion Collection type films or something like that. You can like that channel and then get updates when they have a new title that comes on, so that you're always aware. So there's a self-curation aspect to our platform, and then we weekly do curate as well. So if there's something thematic that's going on, or we have a new title, or there's something that's interesting, we highlight those every week and allow people to discover that way. So that it's a little bit more personal, and you've sort of we're not spying on you like others do to say, oh, we think you're gonna like this. You ever get those? And you're like, I don't like that. Like, I'm not into that. Like, what kind of moment were you checking in on me on? So it's like the opposite, right? So this our curiosity is like, it's the opposite. Like you're deciding what you are into, and then that information gets sent to you because you've said, I like these sorts of things. So we're flipping the script a bit, and we're working all the time with different types of marketing companies who are very into giving data to users, because that's the movement, right? And that's a blockchain decentralized movement. The data should belong to us, not the other way around. So there's blockchain companies that are working on different types of identity and interaction applications where we own our identity, and if someone wants to interact with us online, they have to ask our permission, not the other way around, and we own it because we should, and we're being violated every day, guys. So do some research on decentralization and blockchain technology, because it's the future and it's going to empower us. It really is.
Karen, we have a question over here.
Hi, for Kim.
Could you, I have two quick questions. One is, how do you differ from singular DTV? And also, I forgot the other question. So how do you differ from singular DTV?
I love that you're asking me that question right now, because we are Singular DTV. We are, and we rebranded in January as Breaker, because it's a lot easier to say. Yeah. I love that you know Singular DTV. So when we started this 3 years ago, we launched our company as Singular DTV, and we did a TGE, which is called a token generated event, and we raised a bunch of ETH, which is cryptocurrency, and we had 4 promises to our ETH investors, token holders. So we were building a rights management gateway, which we built. It's called Tokit. That's a whole other conversation for another day. But tokenize it, tokenize everything, tokenize anything. This is where IP would reside on the blockchain, so you can always track it. Breaker, which is a distribution platform for all types of content, which is on beta in January. A documentary film, which we produced. It's out right now. Alex Winter's the director. It's called The Trust Machine. Hopefully you guys can check that out on our platform. And a sci-fi series that's still in development right now. So we launched as Singular DTV, and everyone would be like, Singular, what? You know, it was it's a mouthful. So we hired a bunch of marketers, and they convinced us that we should rebrand and really create something that was a lot sexier and on brand. So we did. So we're really the same company. We do business as Breaker, but we're legally still Singular DTV.
I see. That's exciting.
Thank you.
If there is no, just bouncing off of this young lady's question, if there's no money to be had, and which is my reality, but there could be a potential equity partner, would you say that it's best to bring them in early on so that they can witness they can be a part of the life of the film and watch the, evolution of the film, how it goes through the different stages in terms of festivals and distribution, or is it better to perhaps bring them in after the festival run and before distribution?
You're talking about money? Equity partner, you're saying money, right? Like the financing? I'm not quite sure I understand the question.
Yeah, it's really a financing question.
So when to bring in the financer, is that what you're saying?
I don't know if that's the right question to ask right now. We could skip it.
Maybe it's a one-on-one conversation later over a cocktail or something.
Hi, I just was wondering, mostly from Kim, but anybody else who has input, I don't know, I had read like Game of Thrones, maybe season, whatever, the 3rd episode was like 50 million downloads, which is, all based off of peer-to-peer that, has a reputation for being illegal and so on. And
you mean pirated?
Well, but I also know that there's filmmakers who have used Pirate Bay and other ones to do peer-to-peer distribution for many years now, and I know there's a lot of, blockchain type movie distributions that are all launching, and I'm just curious the numbers. Like you're entrenched in it, and I'm wondering, there's so much potential for it. We've seen that when a successful peer-to-peer. The numbers it could reach. So
what are you asking? What are the numbers of pirators?
What your thoughts? No, I'm just wondering, like the potential for Breaker and similar type blockchain-based distribution platforms. Like what numbers are you seeing? Audience numbers, I guess.
Oh,
because I'm just saying it's already so
okay,
successful in one.
Yeah,
venue,
so we
and
launched
used
yes, so she's asking what are the potential numbers of people downloading on our platform. So we launched in January, beta. We have about 500 titles right now and counting, and we're getting those numbers in every day. So we're in test and learn phase of our platform, and it's going pretty awesome. We have a lot of investors buzzing around us, so we're sort of just gathering information. So we're still learning. We don't know. I mean, and we haven't really aggressively started our marketing campaigns with that because we're really kind of waiting till mobile, because most people don't want to watch a movie on their desktop computer. Like that's old school, right? Remember when Netflix came out and they were like, you can't get that on DVD. You have to watch it, stream it on your computer. And you're like, I don't I was one of those who was like, I am not doing that. You are not. I am not doing that. Okay. I want the movie. Watch it. And of course, here we are today. We all do it like all the time. But so we're still gathering that information. So ask me again the next time we see each other, and I'll have some better numbers for you. Well, let's just say this. Yes. Right. Sure. Right. So the crypto community is about a $500 billion market cap, if that helps you. Right. So that's worldwide, and our platform is regionless, and so we have people all over the world who are downloading stuff from our platform. But we're learning, and you have to market to them clearly, and you have to have titles that are in their language too. So we're focused on U.S. market at the moment, and then we'll systematically go out to other markets. And it's a big nut to crack because U.S. market is one thing for distribution conversations with different partners, and everyone's pretty open to it here now because of the changing tides. But European markets, there are some windows where in France they won't let you go VOD for 3 years. 3 years. So it's a big conversation, and we're over there. We've been, we go to Berlin, we go to Cannes, we start the conversation. They sort of look at us like, yeah, all right. But it's the way, technology is moving that way. That's what's happening. We've seen it happen in the last 30 years. Think about how differently you watch movies right now in television, and we don't even think twice about it. But it's gone quickly. And there's a lot more stories being told because technology's allowed for that technology of filmmaking to get in our hands. And you wouldn't have been able to do that 30 years. You would have had to know somebody in Hollywood and go up the ranks, and everything was in film, and now you can make a movie on your iPhone. And so it's a whole new world, and so technology is moving so fast that the world is gonna really become one. And it'll be awesome to see cinema from all over the world. You have access on your on your platform and everywhere. So anyway, yeah. But
yeah,
you know a lot about that stuff. We can talk later.
A question here. Hi. Thanks again for coming. You all are awesome. Christy, I love your quote that the new normal is distribution is something we do and not something we get. Yeah. So can all of you speak to, for filmmakers, one of the things that has happened is we have squeaked this baby across the finish line to get it made, and now we have to be distributors. So can you speak to how we deal with burnout? I think that's what, because that's the new normal too. I mean, we know we have to do it, but it's like, if you can kind of speak to that for us, I'm sure other people would maybe have that question too.
I feel like we're all bad at that. Self-care, what?
I'm horrible at burnout. I probably get 4 hours of sleep. I haven't slept since 2016. Seriously, so I'm the worst person. But I will say what keeps me going is passion. Because when I want to quit, a filmmaker would email me and say, Deshauna, that last payment, I didn't have enough money to do whatever, and it helped me on a little bit longer. Or a customer and said, oh, I learned about something because of a film that's on Quality TV. And that gets me up in the morning, and all right, I'm going to try this one more time and drink my kombucha because I have a low immune system because I don't get a lot of sleep. So it's for me, for self-care, it's hard, right? I mean, you're passionate about what you're doing, you love what you're doing, there's not a lot of money in it. People assume that you have a lot of money. People ask us all the time, when are you guys gonna get Black Panther? You really think we can afford Black Panther? Wow. I can afford the trailer, for God's sakes, the movie. So there is this expectation from customers about who we are, and it keeps you, and it stresses me out, but passion keeps me going. So I hope that helps.
I'll say I have a really good business partner. So it's a woman, Wendy Cohen, some of you guys might know. She and I met when we worked at Participant Media together, and it's just, she's my work wife. She's my partner. And it just helps to have someone kind of in it with you. And I've worked with some amazing director, producer, filmmaking teams. And it seems like finding that relationship, that partnership in creating your film, you can kind of transfer the stress between the two of you. So I'd say support group within work. There's an app called Headspace. Yeah, I'm gonna try it one day.
I don't know. I can't go there right now. I have so much to say about that, but let's just leave it at it's a constant daily battle to remind myself that I need to balance and be aware of my own needs. You know, I was a filmmaker for 20 years, and I know exactly that world, but I learned how to cope and deal in that world, I think, pretty well. I'm running a business now, and that's a whole other thing that I thought I was ready for, and I'm not. I feel like I'm behind the 8 ball every day. I'm in the future, literally, and I deal with things like the SEC and the IRS going, what is this that you guys are doing? And I'm like, I'm a filmmaker. I just want to go back and make a movie. That was so much easier. Like, and we laugh because it's not. It's like really extremely difficult. So I just try to find a time to remind myself every day that, you know, this is I think making a movie is a sprint now. I do. Running a company is certainly a marathon. So I'm more equipped for sprints, I think. So I'm learning how to run a marathon.
I'll answer this also. What keeps me going, not on the self-care tip, we're not going to go there, but it's just really passion for what you all do. I worked as an editor. I've never had the vision to make my own film. And as an editor, you're the support system for you all's vision. And as a programmer also, I just think it's so important. I see so many beautiful documentaries and stories that I want to be on the facilitating end of having other people see them. So programmers also, like filmmakers, you know, I think from all those jobs up there, I probably make $8,000 a year. So you just do it for the love of helping you all get your beautiful work out.
Well, this has been so fascinating. Thanks to all of you for all the info. I was wondering, I think Kim mentioned that you pay 70 to 80% of the revenue to your creators. What is it that you get on iTunes, Amazon, Netflix right now? Say it's a first-time documentary. You're not a famous, you know, established filmmaker. What are they paying?
Yeah, that's a good question. Anyone distribute a film on Netflix? Yeah? Yeah, what do you got?
iTunes was 70/30 split.
70/30. They license it for how long?
Well, you have to get an aggregator to put it up. So I have an aggregator called BitMax that put my movie on iTunes, and then I just get a check every 3 months from them. And they aggregate onto iTunes, Amazon, Google.
So the aggregator pays you? Yeah.
So they, oh, you said Vimeo is the best.
Vimeo's the best deal out there. That's right. 95. It's the best one.
But the point is that you still have to find your audience, right? You have a movie on all these great platforms, so that people don't know what it is. Check them out.
I've thought of another tool that we use, and I think we turn it on and off because it's expensive to us. I think it's like $35 a month, called Hunter. And so Hunter basically allows you to kind of scrape the internet and look for people's contacts. So when you kind of identify who your audiences are and who you're trying to reach, I can't remember exactly how it works, but you plug in the different websites and it scrapes it until it finds the right contact for you. So it saves you hours in finding contact information. So Hunter. So what? Yes, .io, yeah. For whatever you're looking for, essentially. So if I'm saying I have a film about women's reproductive rights, and I want to target local clinics and medical organizations or individuals that are somehow connected to that issue, I believe, now I'm going to use this in a few months, you plug in the websites that you want to reach people at. Basically, it cuts down your time by I think like 80%, because normally we go website to web page, looking for the right person, searching press releases, see how they write their email, find the contact, and it kind of skips all those steps for you. So a big part of what we do, to your point of like finding your audience, it's who's the audience, who do they listen to, how do we reach them, and part of that is just finding their contact information. And so that tool helps us skip a step. No, and actually don't quote me on exactly. It's somewhere between $35 and $50 per month, because you can turn it, and we turn it on or off when we need it. Don't tell them.
Should I go? Okay. Finding this really, really enjoyable. Thank you so much. I was curious, what advice would you give to anyone working on a documentary short when it comes to distribution? Like, what are fundamental differences or things to watch out for if it's not a series?
Was that for me? I guess for us, shorts are harder for us to distribute just because we're trying to sell people on an experience, and so there's still something like people want a film that's, to be, I'm oversimplifying, but a feature film that they're then bringing other people to. So short films, I love because we can program around it. We can have speakers. We can have a more robust event. But we found it's harder for us to book them for some reason, whatever mental hurdle people have to get over.
Why do you want to do a short instead of a feature? That's how you're beginning. So is it going to be episodic, or is it going to lead to a feature someday? Okay. Okay, it's good to understand. The reason I'm saying that is, I think that what it sounds like is that you're finding your director hat, and you want to tell the story in this short period of time. So I would say your first place to go would be film festivals, because film festivals like short documentaries. It's a good place for them. And a lot of times those people who like to then distribute them or exhibit them outside of festivals will usually be at those festivals. And the opportunities sort of will find you. But I think to make it thinking there's going to be a specific short film distribution option is maybe not the way to approach it. It's like a calling card. Get yourself out there, meet people, have an experience for yourself, and do the get used to festival exhibition, which is awesome. That's a really amazing experience.
And also for length, don't make it under 30 minutes. The over 40 minutes are hard to program.
My question is about distribution via DVD. We talked about how quickly the business is changing. Do you see any role at all for distributing the film that way? And do you think you need a distributor for that? Or should we strictly be thinking about streaming distribution?
Like consumer DVD? Yeah.
To schools or to Walmart? Or
I'd say
whatever.
that's slightly different. So consumer DVD, most people don't even have TVs really anymore. They're using their computers and so the DVD players are even rarer. But actually when we do book screenings at schools, they still require DVDs. So, but then we usually just work with someone to do like a mass print of DVDs, and then we ship them out one at a time.
We've been working with a couple of schools, and they stream directly on Quilly TV. So I think things are changing now, where schools are approaching us about having a school subscription where the entire school has access to our platform. And so if you are still looking into the DVD world, my suggestion would be to think about streaming, because that's even where schools are going right now.
I was wondering how specifically the non-theatrical events, it takes a lot of energy and organizing to do those. Is it really worth it to bring in revenue?
I mean, it depends on the film, to be honest. It depends on the film. It depends on the audience. It depends on the exposure of it. It depends on the time of year, what's going on in the news. We have a project right now that we were kind of tempering our expectations on it, and it's about unequal access to college admissions. And then the Lori Loughlin story broke, and so that film is doing very well. Yeah, it's performing very well, and one of the filmmakers used to be a college admissions professional at Columbia, and so we're booking her on speaking gigs. So it can, it just really depends on the film.
You were talking about maybe people that come to those things then going on social media and posting about it and stuff like that. I guess that's part of it.
It's right. It's part of a marketing. I guess if we could kind of bucket out the way to do it, we would love to have the kind of word of mouth screenings at the beginning with key partners, it kind of premieres in a sense, and then if it goes into the limited theatrical, do the limited theatrical, and then roll into a non-theatrical. And part of that is with the theatrical, it's exactly as you'd said earlier, it's marketing. It's getting that press, and that press means that people are aware of it. So the first time they're hearing about the film is not from us. So oftentimes we'll ask a filmmaker, how many screening requests have you received so far? Because that's a good indicator of the general awareness for the film. And if it's 0, we're kind of starting from scratch. And so it'll be the first time people hear about the film is us pitching them to sell it. So there's a bit more of a lag time. So So even the concept of pre-awareness still applies to grassroots distribution.
Just quickly, do any of you have recommendations on text that we can look up, that actually just, like how do you market this thing? Is there a book that's good that we can pick up?
I actually use BritDoc as the impact field guide. It's a little bit more about impact producing, but there's a great section on impact distribution. Fledgling Fund has great resources and case studies. Those are two I use. I feel like I read a book a few years ago, but I can't remember it. BritDoc, yeah, BritDoc. I think they might have rebranded as Doc Society. But if you just Google BritDoc Impact Field Guide, or even just Impact Field Guide, you should be able to find it. And it came together about maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I don't know if anyone in the room is there, where they brought together maybe 30 to 50 filmmakers and people working in impact film to kind of address all the different aspects of the industry, like what is impact distribution, how do you run a screening tour, and pull together all the best practices collectively. And then they made a really great website with all that information, additional resources, and they've kept updating it. I believe they also actually turned it into a Google Doc that anyone can have access to again make that information as available as possible to everyone.
And that name one more time?
BritDoc Impact Field Guide.
Okay, I think we have time for 1 or 2 more questions.
I have a question for you, Deshauna. I'm wondering if you have any information on who uses the site, and if so, who is most interested?
So our customers, 80% of them are in North America. Most of them are of African descent because our content has content that represents them. But everyone's welcome to watch Play TV. The site won't shut down if you turn it on. I've had questions, people like, can I watch the platform? Am I allowed to? So anyone can watch it. 20% of our customers are international. So 10% of the 20% are in Europe, mostly UK, Netherlands, Belgium, and France. So we're like you, we're really focusing on trying to get more multilingual things so people can watch the content on the platform. And then the rest of 10%, 5% are in Africa, and that's mostly Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, and Ghana. And then 5% in Latin America and the Caribbean, and that's Brazil, Trinidad, Tobago, Jamaica, St. Lucia, that area. Yeah. And honestly, we haven't done any major marketing internationally. It's been a lot of social media. That's how people have been finding us. And so we have a huge audience in the Netherlands. To me, it's in the same.
Well, it's interesting when we did our market research about user activity when it comes to streaming film, and that area was number 2. So Sweden, the Netherlands, yeah, I mean that's their consumer. That's how they mainly consume. So that was really interesting. So that's definitely an area we were like, okay, when we're ready to get out of the U.S., we're going to go market over there.
Yeah, I mean we already have 2 ambassadors. We have an ambassador program, and we have 2 already in the Netherlands who are interested and excited about doing community screenings. And so that's why you ask, how do we market? Just go on social media. It's actually not. It's not really rocket science. I'm not a social media guru. I just, go on social media and we post our films and we post trailers, give them parameters of the social media because everyone is different. Some, like Facebook, you can post a 10-minute, film if you want. You can post your entire film versus IG, Instagram, you can only do 60 seconds. And so we just tailor it to what the platform wants, and then we test things out. We try Instagram story, then we try, now on Instagram you can do longer form film, I think up to 10 minutes too. So we try all different things, and we were working on doing Meet the Filmmaker series where we're interviewing our filmmakers on our platform that was Facebook Live. Now we're looking at making it into a podcast. So we're testing it out to try to figure out how to best promote our filmmakers. So it's just try things out, and that's how we've been able to find our international audience, just by testing out the waters and trying different things to reach out to people.
I'd add to that, I bet you're really good at it because you really, well, one, you're clearly passionate and you really have a good voice, your voice and what you're trying to say. I think for everybody kind of trying out social media, totally agree, try everything, but know who you are. What is are you the filmmaker? Are you yourself? Are you representing an issue? Is it just this film? Really know your voice and who you're trying to talk to, and participate in the conversation. Be generous. Give back to the online community as much as you are participating and listening. And my brain's like 5 minutes behind every question. So the book, I think someone over here asked about the book. Go back here, I can't remember. Follow Seed and Spark on Twitter. I'd say actually instead of books, it's because the industry is changing so fast. There's great people to follow on Twitter and Instagram. I mean, follow, I'm guessing, Quality TV on Twitter. Are you guys on Twitter? Great, Twitter and Instagram. If you guys are on, I'm sure you're not just promoting your films, but I'm assuming talking about the industry and talking about blockchain. So I'd say follow these guys on social media. Seed, like to plant a seed, and Spark. They're Emily Best directly. Like, she's fantastic on Twitter, and I get a lot of my information from her and Seed and Spark.
Best.
Emily Best, like good, better, best. Mm-hmm.
Okay, is there one last question?
Yeah, I have it right here. My question is for Deshauna, just piggybacking off of what you previously said. I'm right here. I was just curious about how you built your audience when you initially launched your network. Like, what was the first steps and what tactics did you take?
So I did spend some time thinking about who my target audience is. So we do something called a persona, right? Like, who is the person, like if you're a filmmaker, although you want everyone to see your film, right? But there is a target person who will be most likely to see your film. And so for Quality TV, I was like, who is more likely to be a subscriber to Quality TV? They're probably 29 to 32. A woman, professional, live in a major urban city. I create this person. I have a picture of her up on like a Google Doc, and I'd say where she lives, where she shops, all the things that she does, based on the type of content that we have. Now, in saying that, looking at our numbers, because I started my company, you have your audience, but there's also a secondary audience too. But that's pretty much how I initially started out. And once you know who your audience is, when you use social media, you're very deliberate about the language, about slang, whatever. If she's 29 and 32, she's a millennial, but maybe a little older millennial. She's not super young. She's a professional. So we would use social media in a way to make sure we were targeting her specifically. Oh, this is for me. But in saying that, even looking at our numbers, I thought our audience would be like 70% female, 30% male. Our audience is like 50-50 pretty much. It's like 52% women. The rest, and it's like the male and female is so small. So I'm actually, we're like, maybe we should have a guy, Raheem, who's 35 and lives in Brooklyn, because I'm learning that even though you have your persona, that it can change a bit based off of the type of content you have and looking at numbers. But that's how we initially started, was just at that, just doing that. And also, as I mentioned with the influencers, we last year we had maybe about 10,000 followers on Instagram. Based off of our persona, we reached out to an influencer that was similar to the person that we thought would be subscribed to Quality TV, and we paid them $30. You'll be surprised. People think that going to influencer, you need $10,000 or something, like for Kim Kardashian or something like that. Literally, someone with 50,000 followers, you can pay them $30, and they can give a tailored post and say, hey, go watch this film. How many of you watched the film that was on PBS, the documentary about Black business owners, like the history? Right, I saw it, right, and that's how they got so many people to watch it. They used influencers. They used influencers based off of the people they thought would be interested in the film, and I saw, like, the influencers I've used, they used them. They only paid probably, $50-$60, and they went to each of those influencers and said, hey, talk about my film to get more people to watch it on PBS, and that's how they were able to get that traction. So don't be afraid to slide into those DMs. Seriously, slide into the DMs. Y'all know what that, slide into the DM, y'all know what that means, right? Okay, so if there's an influencer you think that will fit your film, direct message them. That's what DM stands for. Direct message them and say, hi, I have this project I think your audience might be interested in. How much would it cost to promote my film? And they say, oh, okay, $20. And it's as simple as that. And that's how you really chip away at your audience to get larger audiences faster. We get, whenever we do meet with an influencer, we get an influx of customers just like that. But myself and one person, we spend time on Instagram every single Monday. That's our day, for about 3 hours, scouring Instagram to see who we think fits our audience, and then slide to DMs or go direct message them and see if they're interested in working with us. So that's how we.
A lot of food for thought, like, is there a directory for influencers? So we'll continue this conversation across the street at Phoebe's. Tell them you're with NIWIFT and you get happy hour prices. Dwana will order some food. It's in the back, so you go all the way in and to the right. And I hope that our panelists will come, and thank you so much.